scare me. Do not scare me. Do not scare me.
May 5th, 2021 at around 6:30 a.m., Singapore police responded to a call at a residential flat in the Commonwealth Avenue area. When officers entered the unit, they found 19-year-old Huang lying motionless inside. She was pronounced dead at the scene. At that moment, the case was classified as an unnatural death, and investigations began immediately. Three individuals, all connected to the victim, were arrested in relation to an incident that had occurred earlier that morning. According to reporting, the three alleged attackers were remanded at the Central Police Division, and their cases were adjourned to May 25th as investigations continued. The initial charges involved voluntarily causing grievous hurt, a serious offense under Singapore law. These charges fall under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Voluntarily causing grievous hurt carries a penalty of up to 10 years in prison, and it may include a fine or caning. Women cannot be caned under Singapore law, which applied to one of the accused, Chi, seen here. At this stage, the charges were specifically tied to the alleged assault, not to the cause of death, pending further investigation. Before this case became a headline, Miss Huang was a real person with a life, a family, and ambitions. I'm sure that there was a time before all the stress where this was a happy family, and based on pictures, it seemed there was even a time she and her brother were close. I am sure she did most things 19-year-old girls do in Singapore, like go to the mall, the movies, hang out with friends. I am sure she had aspirations and dreams, and I am sure she had crushes and took selfies and posted them to social media. She most likely wanted to achieve higher education and probably dreamed of having a family one day. I think it is important we take a moment and appreciate her as the woman she was before the tragedy. She was deeply involved in Herbalife, a multi-level marketing company that operates heavily in Asia. She wasn't just a casual participant. She was active, invested, and committed to the business. And she wasn't alone. Her entire family had been involved in Herbalife at one point. They attended events, they purchased products, they supported her involvement, they invested financially. But over time, the financial strain and pressure to keep buying in reportedly became too much. Her parents eventually refused to continue paying for the ongoing costs associated with the business, something that is extremely common in MLM families. This created tension between her and her parents, between her and her siblings, and within the household overall. MLM pressure doesn't stay inside the business. It spills into family dynamics, finances, and emotional well-being. According to court documents and reporting, there was an argument in the home. The three accused individuals allegedly assaulted her during this conflict. She was later found unresponsive in the flat. The investigation examined both the assault and the circumstances of her death. As the case progressed, prosecutors reviewed evidence, medical findings, and statements to determine the appropriate charges. This is where I'm going to put a trigger warning in the video going forward. We will be discussing in more detail how she passed away, and so if that is something that you do not feel comfortable hearing about, then please switch off the video right now and take care of yourself first always. We do have a small update in this case, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Hello everyone! I hope you don't mind my little intro there. You may remember that video. It went up not too long ago, not too long ago, but we do have an update in the case, and there are some things I would like to add to this story, if you will, this Herbalife venture. So I thought I would come on here and give you the update, and we would go through that today. I'm glad that you could join me. Happy MLM Monday, the day where you all watch your favorite anti-MLM creator, which is why I hope that you're here right now. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what is Herbalife? Herbalife is one of the most heavily criticized companies in the anti-multi-level marketing community. Critics, documentaries like Betting on Zero, and former distributors argue that it uses predatory recruitment tactics and operates essentially as an illegal pyramid scheme. Just in case you were unaware, they sell health and wellness supplements. And we're going to get into all of that in a little bit. But first, I would like to give you the update and say hello to everyone. Hello, Violet. Good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope my sound is good. Hello, Joe. You thought it said, "Don't scare me." So did Violet for a while. Violet also thought that for a while, and it used to make me giggle when you guys would come in and say, "Do not scare me." I'd be like, well, close enough. Close enough, right? Hello, Cool Cat. Good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy MLM Monday, everyone. You remember the video? That's good. That's good. Oh, no. Well, I hope that she is doing good in whatever she is doing. So, first, I would like to get into the update of the case because I think that it is very important. As you can see, it says nearly 15 years is jail for man over death of woman 19 who was tortured in Clementi Flat. And I did do a trigger warning because it will probably get into some details. So it says a man who starved and tortured a 19-year-old woman in his Clementi Flat for more than 2 months has been sentenced to 14 years and 11 months jail for causing her death. The acts of abuse allegedly also involved the victim's older brother and his married girlfriend, who are facing murder charges. Miss Huang Boying died on May 5th, 2021, after enduring what prosecutors described as horrifying and senseless torture in a flat at Block 602 Clementi West Street 1. Lim Peng Tiong, 67, the flat's owner, pleaded guilty on February 9 to a reduced charge of culpable homicide not amounting to murder over her death. Miss Huang died from a combination of severe malnutrition, sepsis, and extensive blunt force trauma. She weighed only 27.6 kilograms at her autopsy, having lost 43% of her body weight over 11 months from June 2020, when her weight was last recorded as 48.8 kilograms. Lim's sentence included a 6-month term in lieu of caning. He cannot be caned as he is above the age of 50. That's right. In Singapore, they do still do caning. So, I was kind of hoping that they still would, but I guess they treat murderers out there better than the murderers treat their victims, as is the case always, isn't it? So in sentencing, High Court Judge Pang Kang Chow noted on May 25th that among the 3 accused persons, Lim had the least involvement in the abuse that led to the victim's death, and that he himself was subject to abuse and coercion by the 2 other accomplices. The prosecution had sought a sentence of 20 years as jail for Lim to reflect his role in the abuse. The defense had asked for a jail term of 11 years, contending that Lim was a follower who had been brainwashed by his accomplices, and one might argue by Herbalife as well. Lim, Miss Huang, and her brother Huang Boken, 34, were members of a multi-level marketing club that sold nutritional products. Huang Boken's girlfriend, Chi Mi Wan, 46, was their coach, their upline. She owned a company selling Herbalife products, which she called a club, where members paid to get discounts on products and could also sell the goods to their own clients. She had introduced a system of punishment to correct the bad habits of club members that she felt would negatively affect sales, which in turn would affect her commission. The disciplinary regime escalated into full-blown torture and physical abuse for Miss Huang. And here's this young man. This is Huang Boken. The first one that was to be charged when we first covered this. Chained in toilet. So between February 16th, 2021 and May 4th, 2021, Miss Huang was deprived of food, chained in a toilet at the flat, and brutally beaten. In her final hours, she was repeatedly beaten with a wooden pole, forced to sit upright with her hands tied and raised above her head, had salt rubbed into an open wound, and was drenched under running water for 15 minutes. This poor woman was tortured. The court was earlier told that Miss Huang was about 16 to 17 years old when she and her brother joined the club in 2018, which is weird because I thought you had to be like 18 to join Herbalife, but what do I know? The siblings left home in July 2020 and went to live with Lim after falling out with their parents, who refused to continue buying the products. So allegedly the two siblings were living with their parents, but since they were both so young, he was 19 and she was like 16 when they joined, they didn't have much money to go in and buy products. And as you guys know, MLMs are very much about attraction marketing. Since they are very much about attraction marketing, the whole point is that you are to buy the products, use them, get results from them yourself, and then post like before and after pictures, especially in the weight loss, nutritional, health and wellness supplement niche of MLMs, right? It's especially important to have before and after pictures there in that industry. So that's kind of the whole point. And what had happened is the parents had basically said, we don't want to buy these products anymore. We no longer support you guys being in this company. And since they had already joined this cult with this woman that was their upline, and they were convinced that they had to do this, otherwise they'd receive punishment, right? They basically left home to go and move into this flat with that woman, the landlord, and it sounds like a couple other people were also living there, like his girlfriend was living there and stuff. And the house was essentially a cult within a cult. I consider Herbalife to be a multi-level marketing cult, a commercial cult. And this was an even worse situation and group within that, if that makes sense, where they took it another step further. Okay, I cannot say that the CEO is going to torture you if you don't make enough sales in Herbalife. However, this upline took it upon herself to kind of create a cult of personality around herself and her team, right? And she basically ran the house like a torture chamber. And they were forced to sell and buy products and do whatever to make the money in order to do so. Okay, so it was a very, very bad situation to be in. It was very sick. I agree, Violet. And allegedly a fight broke out where this poor girl broke a rule. She didn't sell enough. There was some argument about money. And that is what led to them torturing her to death, which is absolutely awful. But that's what's been going on here. That's what happened. So they left the home and she joined them a few weeks later following a dispute with her husband. So the woman that was dating the brother was actually married, and a very similar situation there where the husband was like, yo, I'm not like supporting this anymore. Stop doing this stuff. And I think you're cheating on me. And she basically left him and also moved into the house. So just toxicity everywhere. According to Lim, she introduced a system of fines in October 2020 to correct his bad habits, which she believed had affected sales, right? Because you make commissions off what the other people are selling. She was like, I'm going to beat these people and make them work really hard like a psycho. After a month, the system evolved into a regime where those who made mistakes, only a month too, right, had to perform exercises such as squats or hold a stress position with their legs bent and their backs against a wall. Also, there was a health and wellness component to this. So you get kind of brainwashed into thinking that you're also working out in a weird way while doing the torture. That's kind of the emotional and mental manipulation of all of it, right? Oh, well, you have to lose more weight so that you can get the results you want, and you're not making enough sales. And so here, do this, hold this stress position with your legs, and maybe that will help you. And they convince themselves that it's good for them while they're doing it. A very sick frat house, exactly. Exactly. So Miss Huang was punished the most because Chi and Huang Boken thought she lacked discipline and motivation and performed poorly in product sales. From February 2021, Miss Huang was denied food whenever she made a mistake. Things worsened in April 2021 when she was deprived of food for days and was allowed to drink only water. In one incident, she was hit 240 times. One of the beatings resulted in a wound on her calf that did not heal properly. In April 2021, the four attended a church service where Miss Huang dozed off. After they returned to the flat, she was slapped about 130 times, for dozing off. Miss Huang was confined in a toilet for prolonged periods under the guise of giving her a quiet place to reflect on her mistakes. They locked her in this little bathroom and she was chained to the railing beside the toilet bowl. Horrifying. On the night of May 4th, 2021, she allegedly wanted to punish her for lying about whether she had done her squats. When Miss Huang remained quiet during the beating, she and Huang Boken saw this as defiance because, they're obviously getting off on the torture, sickos. The trio allegedly tried several ways to get a reaction out of her, including holding her head in a basin of iced water, allegedly up to 15 minutes. Salt was poured on the wound on her calf, and she was tied up under a tap and drenched with water. After midnight on May 5th, the trio tried to wake her, but to no avail. They basically left her in there, went on with their day, and the poor thing passed away. When they eventually decided to call for an ambulance, they agreed to lie to the authorities. Evidence of the abuse was allegedly deleted from their phones. They tried to hide it. Miss Huang was pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics who reported the case to the police after they saw bruises on her body. The next day, Huang Boken was charged with causing grievous hurt to Miss Huang. Lim was arrested on May 11th and has been in custody since. The case against Huang Boken and Chi, who are both in custody, are pending in court. So there was that. And then behind MLM also did coverage of this. Singaporean Herbalife torturer sentenced to 14 plus years in prison. So he was sentenced to 14 years and 11 months in prison. Sentencing was on May 25th. As I'm understanding, 6 months was added owing to Lim Wright being too old for a caning. Slightly ironic, right? I mean, you could argue that the poor girl was too young. She was only 19. So, Chi, who was married, also moved into Lim's residence following an argument with her husband. After moving in, she began an affair with Huang's brother. And it's just sickening to think that he would be able to do that to his own sister, but that's what happened. So it's just awful. Awful. So Huan Boken and Chi Mi Wan have also been arrested and charged with murder. The outcome of their respective cases remain pending. Beyond Lim, the size of Chi's Herbalife downline in Singapore is unclear. It is unknown whether Chi's fine system is common among Herbalife downlines in Singapore. Because you have to wonder, how was this seen as okay? And part of the reason is because there is such a different system in Singapore, and they do corporal punishment and things like that. So maybe it is more acceptable there, and we have to wonder, are Herbalife uplines in Singapore doing this? Is this more common than we think? And then Oz goes on to say, to the best of my knowledge, Herbalife has not publicly addressed Hu Wong's murder. And I looked into that further, and I could not see anything where they addressed it either, which is very disheartening. You know, like, this young girl worked for their organization. They should be saying something about it. You know, like, they haven't even given her family condolences, which is just gross to me. That's a manslaughter second-degree murder sentence in Michigan. Yeah, I mean, 14 years, almost 15, right? 14, 11 months. It's just that poor girl was only 19. She had her whole life ahead of her, you know? And it's just like, her sentence is longer than that. Don't get me started on the justice system. I don't necessarily believe in an eye for an eye, but I do think that, especially here in Canada, we're way too lenient on people. You know, maybe even in Singapore, because I say cane the man. He had no problem caning the young woman. Like, to me, 19's a baby, you know? Like, I turned 40 in 13 days. My birthday is on June 13th, don't forget. You know what I mean? And I just think, like, oh, man, what the hell? So young, way too young. Way too young. The injustice system, right? All right, so after I did my last video, had written an article about this whole ordeal, and I literally included it. Oh, I know you do, Joe. I got your lovely card. And so I want to just go over part of my article quickly that I think discusses a very important part of all of this. This is not the first time. The Herbalife Singapore case is shocking, but it is not isolated. MLM structures, with their high-pressure sales culture, identity entanglement, and lack of oversight, have been linked to several other cases where coercive control escalated into fatal or near-fatal outcomes. These cases span continents, companies, and cultures, but the underlying patterns are disturbingly similar. Below are the real documented cases that reveal how MLM environments can become breeding grounds for extreme harm. And yes, I found other cases like this, which then makes you wonder, how often is this happening, you know? So there was an Amway-linked coercive group in South Korea. All right, this is all MLMs. So a splinter group of Amway distributors operated as a high-control cult, imposing punishments, isolation, and financial exploitation on members. Several members attempted suicide, and one death was linked to the group's coercive practices. The parallels here between this case and the one we're talking about today with Miss Wong is that there's a cult-like hierarchy, there's punishment systems, and there's isolation and obedience. There was also a Nu Skin training death in Taiwan in 2013. A 21-year-old woman died after being subjected to the extreme training by members of her Nu Skin team. You know? Amway isn't surprising me, that's right. The group had adopted cult-like practices, including forced physical activities, sleep deprivation, and obedience rituals. Several team members were arrested and charged. Investigators described the environment as a closed system of discipline, masquerading as business coaching. And the parallels between the Nu Skin case and this Herbalife case are that punishment is framed as motivation, there's groupthink, there's a leader-driven obedience again, and there's isolation from outside support. There was a Herbalife Boot camp death in China in 2014. A teenager died after being sent to a training camp run by Herbalife distributors, the same company we're talking about. In this case, the camp used harsh physical drills and punishment systems under the guise of character building. Multiple arrests followed, and authorities described the camp as operating outside any legitimate Herbalife oversight. And that's why maybe we shouldn't just let people join these companies and then give them power over people, you know what I'm saying? Parallels between this Herbalife case in 2014 and the one from just recently is the MLM branding used to justify extreme control. Herbalife. Physical punishment tied to performance, and vulnerable young recruits that are targeted. There was a Herbalife distributor death in Mexico in 2015. A young woman died after being subjected to extreme dieting and discipline imposed by her Herbalife upline. While not a murder case, it involved coercive control, physical harm, and a leader who framed dangerous behavior as commitment to the program. Thank God it's not a murder case. You know what I mean? This girl made it, thankfully. The parallels between the 2015 case and this 2021 case is leader-imposed control, dangerous health practices, and vulnerable recruits manipulated through MLM ideology. There was an Amway-related family murder-suicide in India in 2019. A distributor facing severe financial losses and mounting debt killed family members before taking his own life. Investigators found that the family had invested heavily in Amway inventory and training, and the financial pressure had become overwhelming. Friends reported that the distributor felt trapped and ashamed. Parallels include financial strain, shame around failure, and identity collapse tied to MLM performance. There was a Forever Living case in Malaysia, 2016, moving away from the health and wellness type ones now. After this, a woman involved in Forever Living was killed by her partner during a period of financial collapse tied to MLM losses. Friends said she had been pressured to keep buying products to maintain her rank, and the couple's finances had deteriorated rapidly. The parallels include financial coercion, pressure to maintain rank, and MLM-driven debt contributing to domestic violence. There was a LuLaRoe domestic violence case in the U.S. in 2017. A woman involved in LuLaRoe was killed by her husband during a period of extreme financial stress tied to the MLM. The couple had accumulated significant debt from purchasing inventory, and the pressure contributed to escalating conflict in the home. Parallels include inventory debt, emotional strain, and MLM-driven financial collapse. So there's a lot of parallels here, and it happens quite often, where MLMs will cause this kind of thing. A lot of people believe that the Chris Watts case was also driven by MLM financial trouble. My friend, the recovering Hunbot, covered that extensively. So now I just want to take a minute and I want to talk about something very important, which is how MLM structures enable coercive control. It's a bit too big here. Hold on. It's a little bit too big. All right, because this is important. Across every country, every company, and every tragic case, the same structural pattern emerges. Not because the companies intend harm, but because the MLM business model creates the perfect conditions for coercive leaders to thrive. MLMs are built on hierarchical, pyramid-shaped structure where uplines, the people above you, are treated as mentors, coaches, and authority figures, and downlines, the people below you, are expected to follow their guidance without question. Success is framed as a result of mindset, discipline, and obedience. Failure is framed as a personal flaw rather than a structural inevitability. This dynamic is not accidental. It is the engine that keeps MLMs running. Uplines become unofficial gurus. In MLM culture, uplines are not just sales managers. They become life coaches, spiritual guides, motivational speakers, pseudo-therapists, financial advisors, and moral authorities. They are positioned as people who have figured it out, who possess secret knowledge, who can unlock success if you simply follow their system. This creates a guru effect, the same psychological mechanism seen in cults, high-control religious groups, and authoritarian communities. The upline becomes the source of truth, the model of success, the judge of the effort, the arbiter of discipline, and the person who defines what is acceptable. And because MLMs reward loyalty, obedience, and constant positivity, downlines are conditioned to trust their upline more than their own instincts. Downlines are conditioned to obey. Downlines are taught, don't question the system. Your upline knows what works. If you're struggling, it's because you're not coachable. Success requires total commitment. Negativity is failure. If you quit, you're letting everyone down. And this creates a psychological environment where obedience is rewarded, doubt is punished, independence is discouraged, critical thinking is reframed as negativity, and personal boundaries erode. In this environment, a charismatic or authoritarian upline can easily slide into abusive relationship. And I mean that. So creating mini cults inside the larger organization, which is really what we're talking about uplines doing here, right? And I feel like this is becoming a problem more and more and more, as you can see. So most MLMs don't operate as cults at the corporate level, but they enable cult-like subgroups to form within this distributor network. And this is why I do not support them. These subgroups often have their own rules, their own rituals, their own punishments, their own belief systems, their own internal hierarchy, and then their own chosen leader, usually the upline. This is exactly what happened in the Herbalife Singapore case. Chi Mi Wan created a closed, high-control micro-cult inside Herbalife. She framed herself as a mentor and authority figure. She dictated how members should behave, think, and discipline themselves. She used MLM ideology, discipline, mindset, commitment to justify punishment. She convinced others, including Huang Bo Khan, to enforce her rules. And that was the girl's own brother, you know? She turned a girl's brother against her and had him help torture her to death. This is not unique. This is structural. MLMs create the conditions for these microcults to form because there is no oversight. There is no HR department. There is no accountability. Uplines are financially incentivized to control their downlines. And the company disclaims responsibility for distributor behavior. Oh my God, I have a spelling error. I have to fix that. So when you combine financial pressure, identity entanglement, charismatic leadership, lack of oversight, cult-like motivational language, and a belief that success requires total obedience, you get an environment where abuse can escalate unchecked. It makes it easy for this to happen. That is the problem. It's evil. It is. This is worse than joining the army. Exactly. It is, though. Why these cases keep happening? When people hear about the Herbalife murder, the Amway violence cases, or the Nexium fallout, it's tempting to treat each incident as an isolated tragedy. A one-off, a fluke, a bad apple. But when you zoom out, a pattern emerges. These cases don't keep happening because MLMs are cursed or because the people involved are uniquely unstable. They keep happening because the MLM business model, listen to me very carefully, the MLM business model creates the exact psychological, financial, and social conditions where extreme behavior becomes more likely. That's the core issue here. The MLM business model creates the exact psychological, financial, and social conditions where extreme behavior becomes more likely. MLMs attract people who are already under pressure, financially strained, isolated, or searching for purpose. Once inside, the system amplifies those vulnerabilities. Distributors are encouraged to cut off negative influences, rely solely on their upline, and tie their entire identity to the company. When someone's sense of self becomes fused with their MLM role, any threat to that identity, financial collapse, public embarrassment, or loss of status, can feel catastrophic. At the same time, MLM leadership often models entitlement and rule breaking. Executives flaunt luxury lifestyles, present themselves as visionaries, and operate with minimal accountability. When the people at the top behave as if the rules don't apply to them, it sets a tone that trickles downward. The culture rewards dominance, relentless positivity, and image management, while pushing vulnerability, honesty, and dissent. It's a psychological environment where empathy erodes and pressure intensifies. Financial stress compounds the problem. Most distributors lose money, 99%, and many lose far more than they ever admit publicly. Financial desperation is one of the strongest predictors of impulsive or violent behavior across all industries. And MLMs generate that desperation at scale. Combine that with isolation, identity collapse, and culture that glorifies success at all costs, and you have a volatile mix. These tragedies don't happen because MLMs sell shampoos or shakes. They happen because MLMs sell identity, pressure, and delusion. And when that bubble bursts, the fallout can be devastating. The Herbalife murder is not a random anomaly. It is a symptom of a system that pushes people to their psychological limits while shielding its leaders from accountability. A 19-year-old lost her life in circumstances shaped by pressure, control, and a system that thrives on vulnerability. Her story is not just a tragedy, it is a warning. MLMs create environments where coercive leaders can flourish, where financial strain becomes normalized, and where young people can be pulled into dynamics they never fully understand until it's too late. Hey, beautiful. You have a good day? Awesome. I'm streaming. Herbalife did not cause her death, but the structure she was embedded in, the pressure, the hierarchy, the coercive team culture, created conditions where harm could escalate unchecked. When profit depends on obedience and success depends on submission, the line between motivation and abuse disappears. And when that line disappears, people get hurt. So our hearts go out to this beautiful woman's friends and family. We need to remember Miss Huang by who she was, not by what happened to her. May her family and friends find some peace and closure in knowing that her story can at least help ensure this never happens to another person again. Right? Joe says, "Hi, Hannah." Violet says, "Hi, Hannah." Apparently my family's not here anymore. I was very shocked to find that out a few days ago. I was like, where did they go? So that is my update on this case. But I do want to talk about something else. I would like to talk about Herbalife just as a problem on their own for a moment. I won't keep you for too much longer. Do not worry. I had to cough, and I'm going to take a sip of my drink. But this company is a problem, not just because of the coercive control and everything we just discussed, not just because it's caused a few different circumstances, as you just heard, of murder, domestic violence, etc., but also because it's not even good products. Now, I've already done several deep dives into this company, so I'm not going to do an entire deep dive into the company again right now. You can check out my deep dives on them that I've done in the past. Nothing has changed, and that's kind of my point. So, McGill University did this amazing, amazing article here called "Your Local Nutrition Shake Shop May Not Be What You Think It Is." It's called a nutrition club, and it's one way for Herbalife distributors to recruit you into an MLM. And they talk about how these clubs have been opening up in all types of neighborhoods all over. And it really started in 2019. And my whole thing is, yes, even to get you in the door, they manipulate you. Right? That's the university my parents went to, Joe. So, both of them. So, basically, since 2019, all of these have been popping up. All right, there were 5 in the greater Montreal area. Okay, they're still there. I just looked them up again. They're still there. And the whole thing is, the storefront does not say Herbalife on them. And my whole thing is, if you're not doing anything wrong by being Herbalife, why do you have to hide who you are? So they open storefronts, they tell you, yeah, we do nutritional products. Come on in, have a shake. You get in there, you buy a shake. You're like, oh, wow, this is really good. What is this? And then that's when they kind of pitch you the Herbalife product. And then they try to convince you to join. And it tricks people because, of course, these shake shops are very popular, especially in the summertime, which we're coming on to now. So that is kind of why I felt the need to give you a little update. If you see any of these in your area, just be very careful. They also talk about how the former Herbalife CEO, Dr. John Anglewanabe, during his first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, he said health is wealth. So that's wonderful. You know, it was one of the company's taglines. It was founded in 1980 and it sells meal replacement shakes, instant herbal beverages with tea extracts, dietary supplements, and drinks derived from the aloe vera plant. Okay, and it says its website boasts that in 2022, 5 million of its protein shakes were consumed daily. Probably most of them from distributors themselves. All right. So their former CEO is a pediatrician who was assistant secretary for health under George W. Bush and who attained the rank of 4-star admiral within the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps. So if you're wondering, you know, I have people all the time say to me, Queen, how come MLMs aren't illegal then? If they're pyramid schemes. And I say, I don't know. Why you tell the fucking U.S. government to stop starting them and being in them, like Amway and Herbalife and shit, and then maybe we could all finally be like, yes, these are scams. Make them illegal, damn it. A lot of people don't realize this isn't illegal. And coercive control isn't illegal in most places. And I think that if we made coercive control illegal, that would really help our case with domestic violence, with MLMs, with cults. You know? So there's that. Michael O. Johnson, the current CEO, was once president of the international division at Walt Disney Company. And as you guys know, Walt Disney loves MLMs. They were once partnered with LuLaRoe, and they are now partnered with Sensi. If you go to Walt Disney Park right now, they will force you to breathe in Sensi scents. It sucks because I'm like, what about people that have allergies? That is a thing. But Herbalife counts former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright as an endorser, and it sponsors soccer megastar Cristiano Ronaldo, the LA Galaxy soccer team, and 5 national Olympic committees. The California Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Jesus Christ, Foundation, held a fundraiser earlier this year, and it was sponsored by Herbalife. Dietitian Leah McGrath, who founded Build Up Dietitians, told me that when McDonald's sponsored the Academy years ago, people had a fit. Obviously, junk food and dietetics are strange bedfellows. But when Herbalife did it, some people's reactions were akin to meh. So there's a lot of superficial credibility. They're doing the MLM, as you guys know, otherwise I wouldn't really be talking about it. So, what is in those shakes? Very good question. Very good question. So we go over to the National Library of Medicine. Okay, hold on. Let me link the last article because I don't know if I have this one in my description. Some things have to be a surprise while I'm streaming. So there's the article from McGill. And I will also link you this Herbalife National Library of Medicine article in the comment section right now. Should be already in there. And what this is this is Herbalife is associated with severe hepatotoxicity in a previously healthy woman. And this was published in 2019. Okay. Lately, there has been an increased consumption of Herbalife preparations, distributed as nutritional supplements, often claimed to be natural and harmless. However, as their use is not subjected to strict pre-marketing testing and regulations, their ingredients are not clearly defined, and there is no quality control or proof of their effectiveness and safety. Which is my worry. I'm kind of like, we should not allow MLMs to be a part of the health and wellness industry at all. Right? It's just it creates an environment where, yes, illegal medical claims are going to be made, and they have been. It's a problem. A growing body of references accentuate their harmful effects, in particular, hepatotoxicity, which varies from minimal hepatogram changes to fulminant hepatitis requiring liver transplantation. This case report describes liver damage that was highly suspected to originate from Herbalife products consumption. We excluded alcohol, viral, metabolic, autoimmune, and neoplastic causes of liver lesions, as well as vascular liver disease. But we noticed a connection between the use of Herbalife products and liver damage. The exact mechanism of liver damage in our patient was not determined. After removing the Herbalife products, liver damage resolved, and there was no need to perform liver biopsy. Taking into consideration the growing consumption of herbal products and their potential harmfulness, we consider that more strict regulations of their production process and sale are necessary, including exact identification of active substances with a list of ingredients, toxicology testing, and obligatory side effect report. Because they just say, yeah, we tested them. We tested them. There isn't any real third-party testing. So I would say, please do not consume these products. They spread all the money around. That's right. Long grass, maple leaves, Canadian dirt, maybe. Maybe. But it goes on, and it literally gives you the entire case report. She was a 54-year-old female patient. Alrighty. They show you all of the levels here. So we got charts and everything. Okay, they even show you her scan. All right, they go through. These are the products that was used. Guarana, Rose OX, Tang Q Plus, Herbalife line, and Formula 4. Now, they claim that they've changed these products. Okay? They claim that they've changed these products since. However, we don't have any real proof of that. Because again, nothing's regulated here. The supplement industry is like, we don't need regulation, we're all good. You know, the Food and Drug Administration doesn't look at any of this. And oftentimes, MLMs sell these health and wellness supplements and products like they are going to cure or fix something, right? Like, hey, you want to lose weight? Hey, take this shake. You want to be calm? Rub this balm, you know? It really is a thing here, especially in the health and wellness industry. Creates an environment where not only coercive control and cultish leadership can happen with uplines that can lead to a death, like this Herbalife murder case, but it also creates a whole slew of health issues. Because we don't know what's in the products, not really. All right, they'll be like proprietary blend, and I'm talking about all the health and wellness MLMs in this case, right? Or many of the products, really. We don't know what's in them, what they're doing, right? Gotta look into it. They're not honest about it. Nothing's transparent. They do all the testing. They hire doctors on. They hire the doctors. Okay, so obviously the doctor's going to tell you the product's great for you. They're getting paid to say that. So it's such a scammy industry. And it's very, very worrisome. And when you mix health and wellness with coercive control, as you can see, it's a very bad thing. Bad things can happen. It would be calmer of this bomb. I don't know. I just thought of it. See, they should hire me to do their jingles or whatever. There's more regulation on pet food than these products. Exactly. And this is my issue. And I'm like, why are we still selling these? Why is it that okay? Why is it okay to promote something when you probably can't even pronounce and explain half of what's in it? And that's the issue with MLMs as well, is that it's not a nutritionalist saying, hey, take this. It's just Jenny that you hated in grade 10 because she was your bully. All right, now she's added you to Facebook. And she's like, hey, girl, you remember I told you you can lose 10 pounds? You know, like, that's what's going on. And you don't want to trust her. She's a bitch. Fuck Jenny, you know? And that's my issue, is that there is no regulation even on the industry. They're not like, oh, you have to be a doctor to say this, you know? There's none of that. Anyone could just come out here and be like, hi, I'm going to now run a whole team of people and I'll be in control of all of these people. Anyone out here can just be like, here, take this supplement. It can cure your cancer. You know, and they won't get in trouble unless people like me come across it and report them. That's what people don't understand. Like, people seem to think that the regulators out there are like scrolling on Facebook all day long. Like, they have teams of people that are just sitting there and they're like, we got to check all the scams. No, it's us. It's us. We're the ones that do that. They depend on the public to report. They depend on advocates to be the ones to look into these things. A lot of the investigations on here that happen, it's because an advocate like myself did an investigation, reported it. And that's what people don't seem to understand about being an advocate out here and doing this work. If it wasn't for us, none of the regulators would even know what's going on half the time. We're the ones telling them. We're the ones reporting it. TITA, etc. Unfortunately, the FTC doesn't have enough money to hire groups of people to just sit and make sure that on social media, people are not doing illegal claims. They say to the companies, you make a compliance team and you tell your own compliance team to look after it. And most of the time, they don't. Most of the companies I cover on my channel don't even have a compliance. So it's not working. Having them self-regulate themselves is not working. It hasn't been working, and it needs to stop. It just sounds ridiculous. It's like getting a murderer to punish himself for murdering someone. You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this? I just really wish that the FTC and everyone would just get on board and realize that if we made these things illegal as well, it would make it a lot easier for everybody. Because then, we could go, this is illegal, stop doing this, this is a scam, shut it down. The problem is that MLMs are not illegal, and people are like, oh, it's just like a stay-at-home mom running her business, no harm. In the meantime, people are being trafficked in Cambodia so that Sally can sell her fucking shakes in Utah. You know what I mean? And almost all of them are connected to something seedy like that. So it's just like, what are we doing out here? And then the people that are actually making all the money off of these things being legal are the people in the government. Is that not weird? Is that not bizarre? How bizarre? You mean the people in the government that are in charge of whether or not these scams are legal are also the people that are running them? Yeah. Like Herbalife and Amway, one of the big ones, the DeVos family. And then people were like, well, then how come they're not like illegal then if they're scammy and culty? Because your governments make money off of them. They like money more than they like protecting you. And unfortunately, I like protecting you more than I like money. So please donate to my PayPal. The link is pinned in my chat and in my description down below. I apparently have to start grifting better out here or something. I'm not doing it enough. Hey, hon. That's right. Sending hey, hon messages. And it's somebody that's, never doesn't even know about the food groups. Like, acting like a nutritionist, like, we can't have this. And to me, the health and wellness ones are just as dangerous as these crypto ones that are being run out of scam compounds. It's just a very dangerous, different danger, is what I meant to say. Very different danger. These ones cause health issues. And they make it socially acceptable to constantly be on a diet to lose weight. When I was growing up, everyone was all worried about young girls and how they would view their bodies and how the media was portraying us. Are we not doing that anymore? Like, why do we have a million supplement weight loss companies out here telling young people to join my team today? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of issues with these health and wellness ones, especially like Herbalife. And I think it's about time that this is discussed and in a more serious way than just these things need to be shut down. Stop it, So thank you for coming to my hour-long TED Talk on Herbalife, true crime, and the update and discussion. I appreciate all of you very, very much. I am at the end of my medication change. I am starting to feel way better now. I am off of all the quetiapine and I am leveling out. So I am working on a lot of things behind the scenes right now. I just published an article on Richard and Sumana Shea, kind of to go with my video that I did. I am working on a deep dive of another murder that happened in a romance scam. I am working of a deep dive on Mr. Steve Sugrum, who is running Solarium Life. And don't worry, I'm also doing an update on the Richard Shea, so that is all coming to you hopefully within the next week. Stay tuned to the community tab. I post everything up there. And I hope that all of you have a fabulous, amazing rest of your day. It is MLM Monday, so make sure that you go and support all of the other multi-level marketing creators. That is what today is all about. As you can see, it's still important that we are out here spreading awareness. So please help us by doing that. It's free to like and share and subscribe. So make sure you do all of those things. Throw them a buck or two, okay? This doesn't make you a lot of money, but it's very, very satisfying. I love what I do, and I wouldn't be here, if I didn't. And tell that woman to be quieter. That's right. We did an interview with Steve, allegedly, on Danny's show the other night. So stay tuned for that. I think a post is going up about that in about 10 minutes or so on my community tab. So if you missed it, you can see it again. But thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. That's it for me today. I hope that you all have a fabulous, amazing rest of your days. And I will see you all with a video probably tomorrow or Wednesday. And don't worry, we will do Friday this week. I'm sorry I didn't do it this past week. I was just not feeling good. But I'm feeling better now, so see you soon. Love you. Love all your faces. Bye. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Thank you. Links are all down below.